Greetings and salutations, denizens of podcast land. It is time for your weekly dose of politically incorrect sports talk. All the cursing, the swearing, the hatred. You're in the right place for all of it. It is Sports Frenzy 2.0. I am the maestro, Kevin Crane.
I'm the conquistador, Dave Height. And of course, we've got a lot of stuff for you.
Yep. But a lot of different things. I will put it out there. A little bit of everything, like a smorgasbord, a potpourri of...
A cornucopia.
Yes. And like I said, with plenty of vitriol to spread around all of it. So we'll start off with the big boys. We'll start off with the major sports. Of course, tonight as we tape on June the 12th, 2024, this episode, of course, will hit tomorrow morning, Thursday the 13th. Tonight, as we're taping, we're about ready to have the tip-off for Game 3 of the NBA Finals between the Celtics and the Mavericks. And how things have pivoted, how they've changed. No, we're not doing that pivot yet.
Not yet. Too early. Premature pivot.
But everything looked great for the Celtics after the first two games at home.
And now Porzingis ruled out for Game 3 due to a rare leg injury.
Yep, and this doesn't sound like one where he'll be able to bounce back quickly, at
No,
least to me.
It's, what was it, like a dislocated tendon?
It was a
Something
very
like
lengthy
that.
explanation that
yeah.
I did not want to try to write
Decipher.
down. And yeah, I only play a doctor on this podcast, not in real life.
Yeah, we did not stay at a Holiday Inn Express, so we're not even attempting it.
Yep. And plus, if you watch, and granted, if you guys have listened to us at all over the past 3 years, you know, we're not necessarily the biggest NBA fans in the world.
But we know the start of a good conspiracy when we see it.
Well, not only that, but if you watch Porzingis at all, and I did watch Game 1, I watched the first half, basically, of Game 1, the dude has got little stick legs.
Yeah. There's no lower body strength there.
Yeah, so this, in a way, does not shock me. Also, given his history, he has had a tendency to get, as they say, oft injured. So, with those little stick legs...
Somebody needs to stop skipping leg day in the gym.
And, of course, he was outstanding in Game 1, coming back again from injury, putting up 20 points in 20 minutes in Game 1. And that cat was shooting lights out, I'm telling you. That ball, as it was going through, was barely moving the net. But now this is the flip side. This is the negative of Porzingis, is he's not reliable. Now, the conspiracy I'm sure that Dave is talking about is this will, as we go into Dallas now for a couple games.
Now, watch, all of a sudden, the Celtics will have forgotten how to play, and the Mavericks will suddenly be shooting lights out.
And Kyrie Irving will finally, after 12 straight losses to his former team, he will finally snap that streak and beat the Celtics tonight.
Watch the officiating. That's
Yes.
going to be key. That is going to dictate. Let's face it, the conference finals were not all that. Ratings were down. The NBA needs this to go 7 for all the advertising dollars. They need the money out of this because they lost throughout the playoffs so far.
Absolutely. Couldn't have said it better myself. So we'll see what happens. My prediction is, especially now that they're given 2 days rest between each game, we should be back here again next Wednesday night, and the series will probably still be ongoing.
Yeah.
In other NBA news, big NBA news, UConn's Dan Hurley, of course, two-time back-to-back championship coach at the University of Connecticut, turns down the Los Angeles Lakers, who reportedly offered him a 6-year, $70 million deal.
All guaranteed. it seems a little low compared
It
to
does
what
to me.
other coaches are getting.
Well, when this story first broke and people were speculating about what kind of offer the Lakers were going to put out there, given the highest paid coach, I believe, is 17.5 million, maybe 18. I believe Steve Kerr is now number one because they've had that pissing contest going ever since Monty Williams got his deal. Then it was Spoelstra, then it was Popovich, then it was Kerr. So I figured the Lakers would offer 5 years, 100 million. They would go 20 mil a year. And then I hear six for 70 mil. And I'm doing the math, and that wouldn't even put him up past Monty Williams. Plus, you've pointed out he'll have to put up with the LeBron James bullshit.
Yeah. Oh, Lakers have to draft Bronny, so he would have to deal with the James gang, as I said.
Yep.
And does he want to deal with that circus? Does any coach want to deal with that circus?
Yeah. I know I wouldn't want to, and we saw in the past, now this was way before LeBron got out to La La Land, but remember Mike Krzyzewski turned down the Lakers a long while back as well.
Yep.
He went back to Duke and ended up winning, I believe, 2 more titles. So this could turn out to be a smart move for Hurley, and rumor and speculation is that UConn's already welcoming him back with a new deal, which we'll hear about soon.
Yep.
Now, you want one more conspiracy theory, Dave?
Sure.
All right, before we move on to a story that Dave is I'm going to have to make sure, literally, that if his head explodes, I've got plenty of towels and everything
to sop up the mess.
Yes, the bones and the brain matter and all that good stuff. But
let me practice my breathing now.
But this one first. Not the alien, but this would be his second in command. NBA Chief Operating Officer Mark Tatum is calling for federal regulation of sports betting. The NBA wants a level playing field. They don't want individual states dictating different rules, different regulations. But, conspiracy theory. Do you know why the NBA, and probably hand in hand, you'll see the NFL
jump
call
on
for this?
Baseball.
Because if you make this a federally regulated business, sports betting, the casinos, the gambling commissions will have to pay the leagues directly it'll be required that they'll be mandated to use official league data supplied by the NBA, by the NFL, so they'll be getting a kickback.
Yeah.
So they'll be getting more revenue streams.
Isn't that convenient?
So it's not like they're doing anything out of the kindness of their heart.
Oh, no, it's all about the bottom line. Because greed is ruining everything.
Hey, nice segue, dude. Nice segue. Because now we move on to our college basketball story of the week, which I know you are thrilled with. You've been going apoplectic about this for days now. The championship team for NC State way back in 1983. 10 members of that team. That feel-good story, right? That was Jim Valvano.
Yeah, that's Jimmy V's big win before his cancer diagnosis and everything.
Well, they want in now. They want their piece of the pie. They are suing for name, image, likeness compensation because they say the NCAA has been using video of their fantastic historic championship run to promote the game.
Guess what? Suck it up, you little bastards. You get nothing. That was not in play during that time. Nobody now is getting NIL money for team footage being used anywhere. NFL, MLB, NBA. All footage is used in advertising as part of the league, as part of the collegiate game. It has nothing to do with giving money to the players. This is absolutely freaking ridiculous. So now, you entitled little pricks think you deserve this because you couldn't hack it at the next level. None of these guys had big names in the NBA. So, too bad you made poor life choices outside if you couldn't make a living. It's wrong what you're doing. This litigious society we have is going way damn overboard.
Yeah, and I know I get on my soapbox about this pretty much almost every week, but didn't they probably get a full ride scholarship to North Carolina
believe
State
they did.
where they could have gotten a degree to make a good living after their basketball careers, as you pointed out, failed miserably. This is it. I'm not going to pull I fucking told you so.
But this is the
because
beginning.
I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait till it all collapses into a big burning heap of rubble and shit.
This is the most recent girder pulled out of the sports landscape.
Yep. I like Jenga. I think it's like another block
where
you would go, I wouldn't have done that one. I wouldn't have taken that one out. What are you doing, dude? And they're just going to keep doing it and doing it.
Until the tower comes crashing down.
And Nero's up there starting to tune up his fiddle. Yep. And this is going to happen dozens and dozens and dozens of more times in the next few years, kids. So be prepared.
This needs to be shut down immediately. This cannot be allowed to go forward and gain any traction.
And like you pointed out very well, if Coca-Cola or McDonald's had used footage, then they're due
that's
compensation.
A different thing.
But in the promotion of the sport, that's not how it works.
Right.
Ugh. I'm with you on all this, though. It's all garbage. By the way, going back to the NBA for just a second, I want to kind of do an apology, but I want to explain myself. I believe this is a common problem among everybody, no matter how educated you are or not. There are certain words that you tend to mess up, whether it's how you say them, how you spell them. You switch the I and the E, you forget the golden rule, I before E except after C or whatever.
And there's so many freaking different caveats to it that it's bullshit anyway.
Well, I'm going to translate this over for me personally to sports. For last week, I know I did not necessarily come off in the best light when we were talking about Kendrick Perkins. Not because he's a racist pig. I'm not taking that back. But I kept saying how he was trying to get Joel Embiid the MVP 2 years ago, instead of, I was saying that Denver player, because here's my thing. I tend to have a big problem confusing Nikola Jokic and Luka Doncic. So I didn't want to say the wrong name, and I couldn't come up with the right one off the top of my head, so I kept saying the Nuggets player.
Yeah.
So you'll have to forgive me, and I'm sure I'm going to do it again, because I do not want to. I think I'll look even worse if I say Luka Doncic when I'm thinking of Nikola Jokic. But that's like one of those things that I just can't wrap my head around. The names just kind of twist and turn and meld together in my little feeble brain. So I apologize for last week, as I kept saying, the Denver Nuggets, he's really good. Yeah, you know his name, I don't. So I apologize. I just can't. Again, I'm going to do it again. I guarantee it, because
it will happen. It's inevitable.
Those names just get so lockstep in my brain that I can't separate the two, and I don't want to say the wrong one. All right, WNBA.
Those big white boys all look alike.
WNBA. Yes, I'm still watching the WNBA.
Why?
There's just something about it. I'm just trying to give it its fair shake. It's fair due. We talked about this. I was the one who watched the first half of the first season of the USFL when it first came back.
Yeah.
And eventually I wisened up, got smarter, and moved on, and I will do that with the WNBA. But of course, we've got more controversy this week surrounding Caitlin Clark. Because she is not going to be on the roster for the Olympics.
That's fine.
I don't have a problem with it, but I think they've handled it really, really badly. Because some of the things you're hearing, some of the reasons why are really stupid. Now, let me point something out to you. I might end up disagreeing with you on this. I'm not saying that she necessarily should be on the team. But how many freaking goddamn gold medals does Diana Taurasi need? She's in her 40s. How about she concedes her spot to a younger player? But no, she's earned it. She seems like she's got a little bit of LeBron James in her. But they've also been saying, well, we didn't want to put her on the team because people would be too upset because she wouldn't get enough playing time to satisfy her fans. Like, come on. That's a bullshit excuse.
Just don't say anything. Just say, here's the lineup. There you go. Don't try and make excuses. Don't explain anything away. Just say, here's the team representing. And be done with it.
Yep. And she, again, handled it well. Of course, Brittany Griner's on the team, though.
Yeah, double check her carry-on baggage.
Yeah, she said this is the only overseas trip she will ever make for the rest of her life.
Just make sure that she hasn't packed anything she's not supposed to.
Yeah. Hey, I would say don't pull a Nicki Minaj, but I could just say don't pull a Brittany Griner. But yeah, another funny thing in the Caitlin Clark issue is that Brittany Griner is just coming back after having suffered a broken toe in the preseason, right? But another reason they're not taking Caitlin Clark is because she didn't show up for some kind of a mini camp or some kind of a workout for the team, for the potential players who are going to be on the roster, because she was still playing for Iowa, which seems like bullshit. Now, on the other side, to back you up, I will say I didn't see anybody on the roster that's a rookie.
No,
in the WNBA.
No rookies are on there.
And God help me, another racist pig, Jamel Hill, actually made a really good point about this and said, let her have time off.
Yeah.
She's been going nonstop.
She hasn't had any breather.
Yeah.
No break at all. She pretty much went all the way through the college season, through the national championship game.
Draft,
all the team workouts, right in and getting her ass kicked up and down the court. She needs the downtime.
Yep. So that I was like, Jamel Hill? Really?
Talking sense?
Yes. Sports version of Whoopi Goldberg? Come on. Then finally, the Indiana Fever, of course, Caitlin Clark's team, are playing piss poor and have been for most of the season. But now the head coach, Christy Sides,
horrible coach,
terrible, benching players for lack of effort in their latest blowout loss. I can't coach effort. Then what good are you?
That's what coaches do.
You can't coach defense, because I've been watching most of these games. You can't coach defense.
And obviously, you've lost the team if they're not given any effort. Effort is what coaches are supposed to get out of their players. Motivation equals effort.
And then I'll tell you the one player on that team that I cannot stand is the one they drafted number 1 last year, Aaliyah Boston. She can't jump number 1. She's got like a half an inch vertical, and she can't shoot free throws. She doesn't play defense.
Why was she drafted number 1?
I would like to see the tape from her last year versus what I've seen this year to see if she's part of the problem, where Caitlin Clark came in stealing all her thunder. So now she's kind of like,
oh, whatever.
Why am I going to try now? I'm going to have to play second fiddle to Caitlin Clark.
Yeah, well, if you think you're that damn good, then put up.
Yep. All right. Hockey, real quick. We're about in the same situation with the Stanley Cup as we are with the NBA Finals. The team that had the first 2 games, home ice in this case, dominated. Florida Panthers up 2-0 on the Edmonton Oilers. Some story just came out where the Panthers are getting delayed in their trip up
weather
to Edmonton.
delay. With all the storms running through Florida, they can't get their flight out.
Yep, so we'll see if that makes any kind of a difference. They got to play tomorrow night, Thursday night.
Potentially, who knows?
Yep. And it is a long flight. We documented this last week.
Yeah.
This is the longest distance
of
between
any championship series.
Yeah, very, very heavy on the travel, let's put it that way, for this series. Well, Dave, I don't think either one of us want to talk about it, so we'll keep it short and sweet. So we'll briefly discuss Major League Baseball.
White Sox still suck, 17-51.
27.5 behind Cleveland.
Yep. So there you go. It just keeps getting worse.
At least you snapped the franchise record.
The 14-game losing streak, yeah. With 2 in a row. And then it's right back to now losing 3 in a row. Going for another 4 in a row tonight.
Yeah, and the Seattle games, the 2 Seattle games that they've played so far out there on the West Coast, bullpen, it's killing you.
Yep.
Killing you.
Sox starting pitching has been doing well. That's the only strength of the team, I will say, at this point.
And then, of course, you had the Phenom pitching last night. I don't know if the Phenom, but...
No, the top pick they got in the trades in the offseason.
Drew Thorpe.
Yep. Came up and threw pretty well.
Yep. Of course, he's not getting a standing ovation from the Mariners fans like Paul Skeens did.
What the hell are they doing in St. Louis? That has got to be the stupidest thing I've ever heard of. And you do not give the opposing pitcher a standing ovation.
Unless he, throws a no-hitter. Maybe.
No, then I'm booing his ass for no-hitting my team. I'm not giving the opposing players any props. You don't do it.
Yeah, this has been a very interesting topic of discussion all through sports radio and sports TV over the last 24 hours or so. And it's, again, just like most topics, divided evenly. Some say it's okay, and people like you and me go, why the hell are they giving the opposing pitcher a standing ovation? It just doesn't make any sense.
The only way he gets a standing ovation maybe is if he got hurt on a play and got up and walked off. Then you give him a standing ovation for being okay.
Then it's
different. That's
you're being
fine.
A class organization. Your fans are being classy. You're doing the
saying,
humane
all right,
thing.
Great. I'm glad you are not completely.
Yes, I'm glad you didn't snap your leg in half.
Yeah. So, insanity.
And then, of course, my Cubs are really no better. Even though the record's better, I'm disgusted with my team. 32-35. Their bullpen blew a game last night in Tampa Bay.
Yeah, you guys can't hit. We can't hit. Your bullpen sucks. Our bullpen sucks.
Yep.
You guys
we are more similar than you would think.
Yeah, and shouldn't be.
Right. Cubs are 32-35. They are 7.5 behind first place Milwaukee, but the NL Central is such a clusterfuck right now that the 4 teams behind Milwaukee are all within a half game of each other. So
Yeah.
technically the Cubs tied for third, but that's also tied for last. And then right before we started recording tonight, the news comes down that the Cubs are so desperate for bullpen help that they signed Jorge Lopez. If you guys go ding ding ding, why is that name ringing a bell in my noggin, in my skull? It's because he's the guy that had the meltdown a few weeks ago, threw his glove into the stands, and the Mets, of course, DFA'd him. Yes, there are extenuating circumstances, family issues, but still, this shows you how desperate the Cubs are right now. And then, if anybody cares, last weekend we had the 2-game series over in London between the Phillies and the Mets. Whatever. They split. Whatever.
Doesn't matter.
I'm sorry. I know we're supposed to be passionate about sports, but I have such apathy right now for baseball. Oh, and last weekend, it was that exciting Yankees-Dodgers series. Fuck the Yankees and fuck the Dodgers.
Exactly.
I can't put it any simpler than that.
It's hard to get excited about baseball when your teams suck so badly.
Because unlike the NFL, if your team sucks, you lose interest in the sport almost completely. Whereas if your team sucks, as we can attest to being Bears fans, if your team sucks, you still are interested in what the other teams are doing because it's a better, well-run sport.
Yes.
With a salary cap, so all teams can compete equally.
And any team can turn it around within 2 years.
Because, of course, the Dodgers, well, they had to add more payroll, Dave, because they just weren't happy with the production of some of their infielders.
So, what do? Spend.
Now it's only 2.5, 3 mil, I think, but when you're already so far over the luxury tax threshold,
what does it matter?
So the Blue Jays trade Craig Biggio's kid, Kevin Biggio. The Blue Jays finally give up on him. They trade him to the Dodgers. That's it. That's all I got on baseball because I really, again...
300 hitter count.
Oh, we do have to... This will, again, reinforce how pathetic baseball is. Our weekly look at how few 300 hitters there are across AL and NL statistics.
So, if you remember, the previous few weeks, we've lost 3 each of the last 3 weeks. So last week, we were down to 12. This week, we only lost 1. So we're sitting at 11 over 300 right now.
God. And my neighbor and I last weekend were talking about this and reminiscing about Tony Gwynn and Rod Carew and George Brett and Pete Rose.
Frank Thomas.
Guys who get it 330, 340, on occasion 360 or 370.
Paul Molitor.
Yep. And there is nobody, maybe Luis Arias, 2-time batting champion, is the only one out there who can consistently hit 330 right now, 320, 330, and that's the best you're going to get. Otherwise, it's just somebody who has a great year. There's no consistency.
Nope.
And I did hear, of course, Dave and I will talk more about the weekend edition, give you a preview later. As we were discussing this last night and I got home, I heard on the radio as I flipped on some sports radio to wean me into slumber that the numbers all across the league are indeed way down in terms of offense. It's not just our teams.
No, it's bad all over.
Yep.
The frickin' stat geeks are destroying hitting.
Yep.
All right, so now we'll transition into the NFL on Spotify, Pocket Cast, Apple, Overcast, CastBox, Amazon, Audible, and iHeart Sports Frenzy, baby.
otherwise, of course, known as iHeartRadio. And again, do not forget to check out the Facebook page for your weekly dose. All of our panelists' NASCAR picks, all of our panelists' baseball picks, and then when football season kicks in, our full slate of college and pro football picks each and every week.
And don't forget to check out your Saturday morning hangover cure, the weekend edition, your politically incorrect pop culture commentary.
Yes.
Music, movies, TV, streaming. We have a major concert review for you.
Yeah, as I just alluded to a few minutes ago, saying that we were discussing this on the way back last night, was from our big concert in Grand Rapids, Michigan.
The kickoff to the first night, John Waite's Foreigner and Styx.
So we will have that for you. Coming up on the weekend edition, we will also review Glenn Powell in Netflix's big hit new movie, Hitman. So I will finally also pass along my review of Amazon's Fallout, which of course Dave gushed over a few weeks ago. So I had to go ahead and finally wrap that up. But the NFL, a little bit to talk about here. One asshole, but there's no surprise there. Aaron Rodgers still causing issues and problems for the Jets and Joe Douglas, their GM, and Robert Saleh, their head coach.
They don't know how to deal with this guy.
All right, now, even though I said we're going to have to wait a couple years before we say it about the death of college athletics, I think I'm just going to keep saying it. You and I are going to keep saying this. We fucking told you so! We told you Aaron Rodgers was nothing but bad news. Green Bay threw a parade when they got rid of him.
Oh, my God. We warned New York fans, careful what you wish for.
Yep. So
you're getting the full Rodgers experience, baby.
The Jets have two notable holdouts here for mandatory mini camps. Now, one of them, Hassan Reddick, this is another stupid story in and of itself. They trade for Hassan Reddick. They know he's due for a new contract, yet barely have engaged in meaningful negotiation with the guy. So he's a no-show. And then their leader...
I've got something else that I need to do that's important.
We have not heard in any way, shape, or form. And usually the New York media will figure this stuff out.
Yeah, there's nothing on what Rodgers is doing.
But it went from missing the first day to now he's not showing up at all. So Robert Saleh says he's on the same page as his quarterback, but at the same time, he has said this is an unexcused absence.
Yep.
And they're going to have to fine him because...
they're fining Reddick.
Yes, if you're going to fine Reddick, you can't let Aaron Rodgers slide. That would be an even worse look than what they're dealing with right now.
Yeah. Again, it's the Jets. They still don't have a clue what the hell they're doing.
We fucking told you so. I'm going to write a song. The We Fucking Told You So song. Yeah, and all the speculation, some of it's very funny about he's in his darkness retreat again, or he's at a ayahuasca convention.
He's having a ayahuasca reunion and a darkness retreat. You combine them both together.
Or he's back talking to Kennedy again about the third-party run for president.
As he and Kennedy are in a darkness retreat while doing their ayahuasca challenge.
But he is just... well, yeah, and Kennedy's got the worm eating his brain. He should have quit right after he said that.
No, you don't!
Yes, Biden is old and feeble and senile, but at least he has not admitted to having a worm eating his brain. But we digress. But this is all tied into Aaron Rodgers And he has got to be. He's got to be worse than LeBron, right?
Oh, absolutely.
In terms
the
of
ego on this guy?
And LeBron's got a massive ego.
Rodgers is by far worse.
Jesus, I don't know. I'm just not going to show up, and I'm not going to tell you why.
No, it doesn't work that way.
You can't even come up with a halfway lame-ass excuse just to help the Jets save face?
Yeah, come on. We couldn't get away with doing that at work.
No. Now, a team that actually has some semblance of discipline would be the Pittsburgh Steelers. And they are going to do what they do and keep their head coach intact. Mike Tomlin signs a contract extension which will carry through the 2027 season. So you just look at, we talk about the stability at the quarterback position for the Packers. Look at the stability as far as head coaches for the Steelers. How far back do you go? Chuck Noll, Bill Cowher, Mike Tomlin. Back to the 60s? I think Noll started in the late 60s.
He was there forever.
Yes. Now it's just a matter of Mike Tomlin being able to figure out who his quarterback is going to be this year and if he can get anything out of Russell Wilson. Because otherwise, then Bears fans get to sit there and watch possibly the resuscitation of one Justin Fields.
Yep, there you go.
And if anybody cares, I don't, other than the fact that he was always a disappointment in fantasy football. New York Giants happy to report that Darren Waller is retiring.
There you go.
And I'm not trying to rip on the guy because I know he's had a mess when it comes to addiction, alcohol, and drugs.
He's had his share of demons.
But I don't think he's handled things very well either in terms of he recovers, but then he's always injured or he doesn't want to play or he's lost the drive for football. At least now it's over.
Yep. Confirmation for you. Chuck Noll, head coach of the Steelers from 1969 to 1991.
Yeah.
Cowher 92 to 2006 and Tomlin 2007 to the present. There you go.
Yep. And of course, Tomlin has still got that awesome streak going where he has never had a losing season as Steelers head coach.
That's impressive.
Yep. Now, for selfish reasons, I'm still debating whether I want to subject myself to this, but the FBI has released approximately 475 pages detailing the O.J. Simpson murder investigation. No, I won't let it go. I won't let it go because I still think that event, along with that stupid-ass old woman who poured hot coffee on herself, those two events in the 90s have destroyed our civilization. It has carried through to today, and it will carry through beyond today because of those two idiots, the old woman with the coffee and O.J. Simpson.
And Ted Turner.
For cable news.
Yep, the 24-hour news cycle.
Yeah, I agree with you. That should be thrown in there as well. But I guess I'm just looking for answers. Why did we have to go through all this as a country? Why couldn't we have just convicted him, put him in jail, thrown away the key? Dumb lawyers, dumb media.
Yep. Just poorly handled across the board.
All right, now sports has a lot of drama. That's a big reason why we watch. Who would have thought, I never thought I would say this on this podcast, that the most drama in the sports world this week has come from competitive eating. First, the news breaks that reigning, defending, legendary champion, you know him, you love him, Joey Chestnut, banned from the July 4th Nathan's hot dog eating contest. Why? because he has chosen to hitch his wagon in terms of sponsorship to Impossible Foods. Vegan. He's turned into a vegan hipster doofus. And here, you want to hear something ridiculous? Word got out after this news broke that there was an offer on the table for 4 years, $1.2 million. If he had stayed as Nathan's,
on,
Nathan's, he was going to get $1.2 million over 4 years, and he said no. He said no.
How much is he getting from the Impossible
That's
folks?
the thing. I can't find that, but it has to be a lot.
Good grief!
Oh, but that's not it. That's not all. That's not it. That's not all. Because you want to talk about money? You want to talk about a company that throws around money like it's nothing? Netflix, September the 2nd, Labor Day. They have signed the showdown. Joey Chestnut versus Kobayashi coming back out of retirement. He just retired.
For stomach issues.
Nope. They're facing off on Labor Day.
What are they, eating Impossible dogs?
No, they said beef. They said beef.
All right.
They said beef. So you got to wonder how
much
money.
Armor?
They did not say a brand. All I saw, all beef hot dogs is all I saw. But how much money did Netflix shell out for this?
No kidding. Good Lord.
And then
guess who's not going to be watching?
No, it makes me sick.
Yeah,
to watch
I
those
cannot.
Guys do
no,
that.
I've never watched one of those events.
I'm not even a big hot dog fan to begin with, but I don't care if they're doing buffalo wings or
no. That's just the eating competitions are just no.
They're disgusting. But I'm just fascinated with all of this. And Kobayashi coming out. I'm coming back out of retirement because I need to beat Chestnut one more time. Oh my God! What is happening to this world? What is happening to this world? I'll say it one more time. That's why Netflix had to have given both of these guys a shit ton of money.
Yeah.
Now, we love conspiracies, we love drama, and we love curses. So the cover player for Madden 25 has been announced. And if there's anybody who would be a good bet to restart the Madden Curse,
it's Christian McCaffrey.
Especially since he's coming off a year where he was relatively healthy.
Yes, for the first time.
What are the odds he's going to be able to do 2 for 2?
Going to be pretty slim.
So this could be
the return of the Madden Curse.
Yes.
It's gone away for what, about almost 10
years? Yeah, we heard the rundown last night. Somebody was running it down.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been a while. Yeah, I think you got to go back to the mid, like 2015, 2016 in there somewhere.
Yeah, so we're running about an 8-year run where the curse has not been there.
Yep. College World Series is underway. You want to talk? I know college baseball is not our thing, but you want to talk about a lack of competition per se?
Oh, God.
The College World Series will feature 4 teams from the ACC, 4 teams from the SEC.
Whoop-de-doo.
Oh, and I'm very upset about women. This pisses me off. Okay, so the men's
softball.
Oh! You don't get to call it the College World Series if you're playing softball.
No, it's not.
And I saw articles about this. Oklahoma, good for the women. What, first ever 4-peat in history?
Yeah.
But they kept saying Women's College World Series, 4-peat. And then I'm reading certain articles. Nowhere in the article does it tell you it's softball. It's not the College World Series if it's softball. It's the Women's Softball Championship. It's not the goddamn World Series. The World Series doesn't matter if it's Major League Baseball, it's baseball.
Baseball, Little League World Series. It's baseball.
Because what? Now, if women start playing football, they're going to start calling it the Women's Super Bowl? But they're only playing flag football instead of tackle? No. There are rules, and as Dave would say, principalities involved here.
That's right.
Sorry, this really pissed me off.
Ugh.
Belmont Stakes. Finally, horse racing is done for the year in terms of the big races. So we can tell our panel member, Doug, to shut up, Doug! You can wait till next year to start complaining about why we don't do horse racing as one of our competitions.
Because it's lame.
Dornoch wins the Belmont Stakes. Really, the only interesting thing about this is co-owner of Dornoch is former Phillies World Series champion Jason Worth. He of the long hippie hair, which he's still got. I believe he was a member of the, I want to say 2008 championship team for the Phillies. This weekend, tons of excitement in the world of football. The UFL championship is set.
Oh, yay.
The San Antonio Brahmas versus the Birmingham Stallions. Now, I've always said, Birmingham is a football city, and they always get overlooked. They should have an NFL franchise next. Because they have always had a team in the UFL, the USFL.
Never had an NFL team at any point.
Then we have the French Open. Iga Swiatek wins her 5th Grand Slam, her 4th French Open. And then Carlos Alcaraz, who supposedly is going to be the one to take over when all 3 of the big 3 are gone.
Supposedly. We'll see if he can carry the torch or not.
Well, he won his 3rd Grand Slam at Roland Garros, but that was his first French Open.
Yep.
So, interesting in terms of the media when it comes to the French Open. NBC has been home to the French Open and the coverage for 40 years. Wow. And that has come to an end. As Warner Brothers Discovery somehow found some money, even though they shelved Batgirl and Coyote versus Acme. But they found enough money, $650 million to take a 10-year deal to cover the French Open. That makes no sense to me.
What are they going to air it on?
They have got to be the worst run media conglomerate in the world.
They're going to put it on Max?
Max now has Bleacher Report, which is turning into an add-on. So you pay for Max, and then you have to pay for the Bleacher Report part of it because that's it's all sports. They're trying to cash in on the sports.
Nope. Not gonna do it.
Now, unless they drastically change, Netflix is still working, still cool, still not ungodly expensive, and they actually have content.
Yes, they do.
In addition to the Chestnut versus Kobayashi death match. The Mike Tyson-Jake Paul fight has been rescheduled on Netflix for November the 15th.
Yep, Mike needs a little more time to get that ulcer healed up.
Yep. And then, of course, as this drops Thursday morning, June the 13th, it'll be right around the time when they'll be teeing off for yet another golf major, the U.S. Open this weekend. Coming off a win at the Memorial, Scottie Scheffler, his 5th win already of 2024. And I believe I heard somewhere that the only other person to win 5 tournaments before the U.S. Open in history was one Tom Watson. I'm pretty sure I heard that correctly. But one person you will not be seeing, and it sucks because the big name, One person you will not be seeing play this weekend is John Rahm, as I guess he's got a nasty, disgusting, painful foot infection.
Yeah, not a good thing.
So he has had to
Ouch.
withdraw. Oh, good. More time to cover Tiger Woods.
Oh, don't forget Rory.
Yeah, the now happy again, Rory
The
McIlroy.
happily married Rory. Oh, yeah, we're calling the divorce off. We've reconciled. All is good.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Weasley rat-looking bastard.
Yeah. I better not ever hear confirmation about that rumored affair he was having with my Amanda Balionis. He doesn't deserve her. That two-faced, rat-faced jackass.
Like I said, we called it. He's been hanging out with Tiger Woods way too much.
Oh, but Tiger Woods says he's feeling great and he's capable of winning the Open this weekend.
No, he's not.
And he's got his son in tow with him to give him encouragement and help him out because he's Father of the Year again.
Tiger will not make the cut again.
I got news for you people. I don't care how much you love Tiger Woods and how much you love LeBron James. They are both shitty, terrible fathers and human beings. They are awful. For LeBron James to do what he's doing with Bronny, holding teams hostage, forcing them to draft his son, who in no way, shape, or form is ready for this.
No. You're projecting.
And then Tiger always parading his kids out there to try to help us forget
What a scumbag he is.
and how he cheated on their mother countless times.
His substance abuse issues.
Which the media always conveniently
Overlooks.
forgets to mention as they're just going, oh, it's Tiger Woods.
Oh, Tiger's recovering from his accident. Yeah, his accident because he was impaired. Ugh.
All right, couple other things. I want to go back to football for just a couple minutes. And then we're going to start heading down the home stretch, wrapping things up. We do have NASCAR to get to, but I cannot go without mentioning this for Dave and I as Bears fans. And this is the misery we go through being Bears fans. We have said in the past, for some stupid asinine reason, year in and year out, this team, this management, front office are obsessed with tight ends. They are obsessed with tight ends.
And there's no reason for it.
And this is, of course, you've already got Cole Kmet. You bring in Gerald Everett this year. And now the news comes out this past week. 40-year-old Mercedes Lewis will be coming back.
Why?
For his 19th year
Why?
in the NFL.
There's no need for him.
It's wasted money. This is a PR move. This is a feel-good story.
We don't need it. Don't need it at all.
This is why I don't care how many people love Ryan Poles. After what we've gone through in the past, I'm very skeptical of any GM. And stuff like this doesn't sell me on Ryan Poles.
No, this is a stupid move.
He's made some decent moves, but
he's probably hitting, what, 70%?
Maybe. Ugh. Then finally, we wanted to send out some well wishes, not moments of silence yet, but well wishes to Kansas City defensive end as the offseason from hell continues for the Chiefs. Kansas City defensive end B.J. Thompson suffered a seizure and cardiac arrest this past week.
Yeah, not on the field. It was during a meeting for the defense where it just happened, and thankfully their training staff was there, was able to administer life-saving measures until the paramedics got there and rushed him to the hospital.
But he's okay now. He's out of the hospital.
He's out of the hospital, but
I don't know if that means he's completely out of danger.
Probably not, but you really have to watch out what caused the seizure.
Yep.
Was he just dehydrated? Is there a medical issue underlying?
Yep. So at least the good news is out of the hospital. That's a big
Yes.
step in the right direction.
So hopefully, thoughts and prayers to him getting healthy, being healthy.
Yeah. And again, the Kansas City Chiefs probably just cannot wait for the season to start.
Yeah.
To get a full reset. But one last sport to go. NASCAR. We've got to talk about last week's Sonoma race, and we've got to give you our picks for the first ever Cup race at Iowa Speedway. All right, the road course at Sonoma. Recapping last week, of course, the pole went to one Joey Logano, who did not have a good race at all.
No. Wow, that was painful.
Yeah, he had all sorts of issues. Usually when you have the pole on a road course, as Joey did, you can dominate the first 10 or 12 laps. But then when things get a caution, things start to get pushed back together again, jumbled up.
Yeah,
pit
the
strategies,
dive bombing and everything else.
Yeah, pit strategies. Everybody's got a different pit strategy on the road courses. So Joey did not fare well. So his year of misery continues. Because I believe right now he's out. If the playoffs started today,
he's on the outside.
Yep. He's got to make up some ground and quickly or win a race at least. And speaking of our winner, Kyle Larson.
That was impressive in the closing 20 laps.
Yep.
His drive through the field to take the lead was impressive as hell.
Yeah. Yeah. And
that car was hooked up.
You and I had Chase Elliott, of course, for that race in our picks. And I did not I wish he would have come into the pits with Larson.
They should have come in at the same time.
It would have been a little bit closer at the end, but Elliott stayed out a couple extra laps, and that cost him because he was able to work his way up as well, but he needed more time.
Yeah. Yeah, he did not have a winning car.
No, I'm not saying he would have beat Larson.
No, but he probably could have finished second.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because Martin Truex
runs out of gas coming down to the end. Oh, that was painful.
Literally, it looked like 100 yards.
Yeah, he fell 100 yards.
I don't know the exact measurement, but he's on the final stretch, coming to the checkered flag, and the car just stops. And he was in second place, and it took him so long to crawl across the finish line that he dropped from second to 27th.
Last car on the lead lap.
I mean, just awful.
Ouch.
Awful for him. Now, as opposed to what we were talking about here a few minutes ago with Joey Logano, this sucks for Truex, but he's still locked in on points right now.
Yeah.
He would have to have more like
meltdowns.
3 or 4 races like this.
Yeah.
Before he'd really be in danger of dropping out. He's got a nice points cushion. And of course, the sad news for us who like to watch the Cup Series is this was the last Fox race of the year.
Oh, God. Now it's going to be painful.
Yep.
Now it switches to NBC. And
no Dale Jr., remember, kids. So if you're a Dale Earnhardt Jr. fan and you thought he was the one redeeming factor in NBC's coverage, he go bye-bye.
Yep. Now you're stuck listening to the droning Tony Romo-esque rants of our least favorite announcer.
What, Rick Allen?
No.
Or Jeff Burton?
No.
Oh, God, Steve Letarte.
God,
yeah. I blocked him out of my mind.
No, we would be better off with...
I think Rick Allen's done here. I think he's going to do this until the playoffs. I think we talked about this a month or two ago, and they're replacing him down the road. So even he's going away.
Yeah, NBC is a mess.
Yeah, and they're going to take over the NBA? Huh.
Yeah, good frickin' luck with that.
Yeah. All right. Other racing news, and the charter wars
Oh my God.
in Cup and NASCAR are getting nasty.
It's getting bad.
Now, we talked about how Front Row bought the charter from Stuart Haas, and Stuart Haas is shuddering after this season. Estimates say they paid between 20 and 25 million for that charter, which was lower than what everybody thought the market value would be for a charter. So that's got them worried and panicking. But then NASCAR's proposals
They're
are
out of whack.
really pissing off the owners.
Yeah. The teams want the charters to be permanent. They don't want these stupid, oh, well, they'll expire with the next TV contract. No. Make them permanent. The teams can sell to other teams. NASCAR wants to be able to buy charters and have their own.
Yeah, the France family.
The France family wants to own a team. No. Sorry. Bad juju.
And of course, private equity firms also.
Yeah,
they want to open up things for those entities as well. So this is leading to, we love rumors again. We love rumors and speculation and conspiracies. This is leading to rumblings about a possible split.
Yep. Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, this is
part of the issue that the teams have with the France family owning a team stems from a lot of the IndyCar teams don't like the fact that Penske owns IndyCar and also owns 3 teams. So they don't want to get into that situation.
And kind of tying into that, because now first when I say split, that means Hendrick, Gibbs, Penske could conceivably start their own racing league, leaving NASCAR to scramble for replacement drivers.
Yep.
But story also came out this past week, kind of tying into what you were saying about Penske having both NASCAR and IndyCar teams. There are financial considerations involved here.
There always are.
We all, as racing fans, loved Kyle Larson. Of course, the weather ruined it, but him trying to do the double was exciting. It was great for racing. But now Hendrick Motorsports, looking at the extra money they had to spend to accommodate Larson's attempt, with all the chartering back and forth,
yeah,
and basically luxury suites, accommodations for people in Indy as well as in Charlotte. HMS supposedly spent well over $3 million extra just on this Larson attempt at the double. And again, rumors and speculation are that even though everybody's like, oh, go for it again, Kyle, they are very hesitant to pony up that money again for Larson to try the double. So we're seeing a lot of money issues popping up with NASCAR. And then, of course, if you care about F1, guess who won the Canadian Grand Prix?
Oh, gee, would that be Max Verstappen?
There you go. So the sun rises, the sun sets, Max Verstappen wins another F1 race. So that takes us to our latest race this coming Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to all the awesome fathers like Dave and I out there. The first ever Cup race at Iowa Speedway this coming Sunday night. Race 17 on June the 16th.
A 7/8 mile. So it's not a short track, but it's not a super speedway. It's
the closest comparison I could find was Richmond.
And it's bigger than Richmond.
In terms of shape, in terms of asphalt.
Yeah.
So that was kind of my point of comparison, as close as I could get.
Yeah, Richmond's a 3/4 mile.
Yep. Now, as we
This is-
mentioned, this will be the first NBC race, the Iowa Corn 350. Now, the one awesome thing about Iowa Speedway, before we get to our picks, address 3333 Rusty Wallace Drive.
There you go.
All right, we're all going in here a little blind. All of our panelists, 7 of our 8 panelists have picks in. As I just mentioned, I kind of went off drivers who drove well or have a good history at Richmond as my basis. So I went ahead and I went with one Chris Boucher. I did not want to burn a really good driver, but I did not just want to tank it and throw it away either.
Right. I decided to go with Brad Keselowski. He's won there in the Xfinity. He's also was there for the tire testing recently as they were getting ready. So, and he's been running pretty well of late.
Yes, he has. Definitely has been.
And like you said, don't want to burn one of the top ones.
And that takes us to Sam's pick.
Yep.
Because Sam took who I would have liked to have picked.
But we have him penciled in somewhere else.
And plus, you only get to pick a driver 3 times.
That's right.
In the first 26 races. So you kind of have to be judicious with the top drivers. Because, of course, Kyle Larson's favored in well over half the races he runs.
Yeah, we can only pick him 3 times.
And this guy, for the elder statesman, Denny Hamlin, same way. So he could get a win this week. And Sam could bump up in the standings, in our standings. I just, like you said, got to save him at least for one.
There's one track
I've got him penciled in for 2.
I've got 2 one left.
Well, you and I will definitely have that one track
the same.
Yep. Bill, the Big Blue W, of course, bitches and pisses and moans about how much he hates NASCAR, yet he had the best car at Sonoma among us with Chris Boucher.
Yep.
And he won a stage. Nothing I hate more than somebody who whines and cries.
And then falls ass backwards into a good run.
Yeah, he's won the Frenzy Cup before, but nobody likes NASCAR. I don't know why we do NASCAR. Stop being a Doug. Shut up, Bill. Nick is going with Joey Logano.
Yep, and then we have a twofer between Doug and Aaron, going with Tyler Reddick.
He's another guy. You could take him in half the races in the regular season as a favorite.
I've got him and a couple of others.
So there you go, kids. Almost all different, except for, as Dave pointed out, Doug and Aaron there at the end. And we're still waiting on Mrs. C, but she's got a little bit of time left. A little bit of time left before our deadline. So that will lead us into moments of silence. And unfortunately, a lot of big passings in the world of basketball. The logo, that's what he's called. His iconic silhouette on the NBA logo. Legend for the Los Angeles Lakers. On the court, front office.
The guy was as good as an executive as he was a player. Anywhere he went, he found success.
Yep, of course we're talking about the great Jerry West. And it's a shame that you and I, and our unofficial 9th member, Jamie, were speculating about, now watch, they're gonna push to change the logo.
They've been talking about...
it should be the opposite. It should be
solidified.
Right. But there's been rumblings and rumors about them wanting to change the logo.
Gotta modernize and update with the current player.
Gotta be PC. Gotta be woke. And of course, they will not be able to use the most iconic silhouette logo, which would be
Michael
Nike.
Jordan's Jumpman.
Right. So anybody there who thinks they're going to use Michael Jordan, I think you're wrong. It's going to have to be somebody else.
Happen. They've been talking about Kobe Bryant for years now.
You know, I was thinking about this after our initial discussion. Do you know who would really make for a good, if they're going to do this, which they should not. I'm saying right now they should not. Leave it alone. But if they change it, I actually have two. I have, of course, Dr. J, and then the Skyhook from Kareem. I think that would be my number one pick.
Yeah,
even ahead of,
you could get the Dr. J.
Yep, the iconic
dunk.
Yep,
or
the
Kareem Skyhook. Either of those would be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. I was trying to do the NBA's work for them again because we have to do everything for these pinheads.
Yeah, but those would be two iconic looks.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, like you said, I know, especially right after he died, they were really pushing Kobe. But what iconic pose does Kobe Bryant have as opposed to, like you pointed out, the Skyhook with Kareem and Dr. J's dunk? You know, him going up for a dunk. I have to see it. I would have to see what they came up with. Yeah. What the marketing geniuses in the NBA would come up with. But of course, thoughts and prayers go out to everybody in the NBA as we lost a true legend.
Yep.
And we also, unfortunately, this overshadows the loss of another Hall of Famer, Chet Walker.
Yep. 7-time NBA All-Star for the 76ers and the Bulls. Solid player.
Yep, won a championship with the Sixers.
Yep.
Because I believe Wilt was on that team as well. And then sad news. Too young. Again, it seems like we've got way too many, and we got a couple here. But the last one in basketball, the son of one of the greatest players of all time, of course, Pistol Pete Maravich, his son Josh Maravich passed away at the age of 42. So that family, ugh.
Yeah, thoughts and prayers to all of these families and their friends.
Yep. And then, of course, the worst news going away from basketball, worst news here in Moments of Silence is the tragic shooting death of Southern Mississippi cornerback MJ Daniels, 21 years old, shot and killed in an apartment complex in Mississippi. And you can talk all you want about gun control, but until the mentality changes, until we start punishing perpetrators who use firearms in the wrong way, and we throw the book at them and we lock them up.
It's not legally purchased. It's black market, stolen. It's the criminals.
All right. This is going to be a very, very light Red Foreman Dumbass of the Week contest. I promised Dave I would take it easy on him this week, not only because it just makes things flow a little bit quicker, but we're both dog tired because of last night's concert.
It's a concert hangover.
And we usually end up recording into the wee hours, Wednesday night into Thursday morning. We're trying to avoid that so we can actually get some semblance of normal sleep. So, of course, my first of 3 contestants for the Red Foreman Dumbass of the Week isn't technically verified. Let me explain this. Initially, I'm going to reference once again our unofficial 9th member, Jamie, brought to our attention that initially it looked like the NFL did not do enough research in setting up their international game for this year down in Brazil. Because you've got gang issues, gang colors issues, and it was pointed out that, and this came from Josh Jacobs, the brand new star running back, of course, jumping ship from the Raiders, coming to the Packers. He was pointing out on a podcast or an interview that they could not wear green. Of course, the Eagles and the Packers
Both have green as the main color.
So we're all sitting there after we hear this wondering, well, what are they going to do? And they were telling the players, you can't walk around really. You're pretty much going to be stuck in the hotel room for this entire trip.
Yeah, because we don't want you kidnapped and held for ransom and then your body found later.
Now, supposedly the NFL has come out and refuted all of this and said this is not true. It's safe.
Of course they're going to say that.
They'll be fine.
They're going to bolster it up because they want this to happen.
And on top of the gang issues with the colors.
Great movie if you haven't seen it.
Yep. Sean Penn, Robert Duvall. On top of the gang issues, it also turns out that I believe the stadium they're playing at, that team that plays home games there, their main rivals' colors are green. So again, that's another reason why the speculation has popped up, because there are signs in this stadium that supposedly say green is not welcome here.
And of course, the NFL did not do their homework.
So I'll put that out there.
Let's see what transpires.
Don't have 100% verification about the gang colors or any of the complications that they might be looking at here, but it just makes for a really great potential huge dumbass story for the NFL.
Which we still say they're dumbasses for trying to push the international aspect anyway, so there's
Yes.
just all rolls together.
Yes. And when they eventually go down to Australia and somebody gets bit by one of those snakes where you die in 2 minutes.
Snake, spider, scorpion, whatever, caiman, salty.
Yep.
They're out swimming. You've got the shark issues. So, yeah, you got the top 10 deadliest everything in Australia.
All right. Moving on to baseball. You get good technological advancements sometimes when it comes to covering sports. Of course, now we can't live without the line in football, right, showing you the line to gain on the screen. We wonder, how did we ever get along without it? But then we also end up getting some really stupid, ridiculous ideas. And I don't know about you, but I'm about done with the on-field mic'd up player.
Oh my God, I hate this. I hate the mic'd up players, be it baseball or NFL.
Well, in baseball, I believe this was last Friday night because this involved the Apple TV Plus broadcast. This might have been the Yankees-Dodgers game on Friday night. Los Angeles Dodgers third baseman Kike Hernandez, during his in-game interview, ends up booting a grounder and committing an error.
Stop talking to the players during play. I hate that crap in the All-Star game where they initiated it. It's bullshit. Now you're doing it in a game that actually counts, and you could have cost a team the game by talking to him.
Yes. Now, luckily they didn't. The Dodgers ended up winning that game on Friday.
But still, that's inexcusable. You do not interview during competition.
And then, of course, they interview Kike Hernandez after the game and ask him about it and say, do you regret agreeing to do that in-game interview situation because you do it for one inning?
Yeah.
And he says, oh, of course not, because I get paid more money. They get $10,000 to do that for one inning. And then it goes up. It goes up, of course, in the postseason. So, of course, greed rules all. Money, 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 money.
Even if it costs your team.
Yep.
Don't like it at all.
And then finally, I wish I could get through an episode without doing one of these stories. Maybe someday. But it's just too easy to throw them in as dumbasses because
they are.
Perpetual hatred and racism running rampant in sports as well as in our culture as a whole. Tennessean columnist. The Tennessean, I guess, is a big newspaper down there. Yes, in Tennessee, the Tennessean columnist Andrea Williams. And this got reprinted in the Indianapolis Star because they were so upset with this woman that they reprinted it to fire up the Fever fans and everybody in Indianapolis. Because, yes, it's about Caitlin Clark. But this idiot, Andrea Williams, in this op-ed, tries to draw a parallel between Caitlin Clark and Elvis Presley, saying that the only reason they're both popular, or were popular in Elvis's case, was due to the fact of their whiteness. And she went on to basically elaborate and say they're both intruding in the black man's world. Elvis stole, well, he didn't steal. In her column, her op-ed, she says they wanted to find somebody who was marketable, who could play black music. But because he was white, Elvis was the perfect figurehead for that.
Oh my God, that's dumb.
And of course, she's drawing the parallel, saying Caitlin Clark is drawing eyeballs and people to WNBA games because black people couldn't do it. So now we've got a white person to be a figurehead.
Since when did the NBA become a black-only sport?
We talked about this in the NBA. We've talked about Gilbert Arenas. We've talked about Kendrick Perkins ad nauseum. They think that it should be 100% a black league. They don't like the European white players coming over.
Oh,
we've talked about this.
This is perpetuating problems. This is ridiculous. God.
And I have said, it is stupid. In the immortal words of Kansas, fight fire with fire. It is stupid to try to fight racism with racism. And that's all these people are doing. Is they're claiming, well, we're pointing out racism. Right. And you write an article like this and you come off as a racist. I don't know. She's my dumbass of the week.
God, I have to agree with that one.
Since
that's just bad
we
form.
We can't get full verification on that whole
NFL.
Brazil NFL situation. And we could kind of see the Kiki Hernandez thing coming a mile away.
Yeah, we knew it was going to happen.
Yeah.
We've seen it happen in the All-Star game where players misplay things.
As they're yapping with the guys up in the booth.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, kids, that's going to do it for your favorite politically incorrect sports podcast for the week. But do not forget, as Dave pointed out earlier, check out the weekend edition this coming Saturday morning, June the 15th. Once again, Styx, Foreigner, John Waite Live, the new Bon Jovi album, Forever, our review of Hitman on Netflix, my review of Fallout on Amazon Prime, and a few more dumbasses. We'll have a few more than 3 because pop culture, Hollywood,
they are dumbasses.
They're even worse than the professional athletes in the world of sports. So, check out this Saturday morning. If it's not your cup of tea, I don't understand why it wouldn't be.
It's another chance to hang out with us for the love of all that's holy.
Yep, but we'll be back with sports in 7 days. Say goodnight to the kids, Dave.
Good night to the kids, Dave.